Hello and welcome to Channel 11 News. Today on our program we take a detailed look at communications metadata and how it's impacting our country. Metadata collection, or data collected from phone calls, text messages, emails, and other forms of communications, have left citizens angry and confused about their rights. The topic has taken the country by storm after a recent article published by CBC at the end of last month. The article reads as follows. A top-secret document retrieved by U.S. whistleblower Edward Snowden and obtained by CBC News shows that Canada's electronic spy agency used information from the free internet service at a major Canadian airport to track the wireless devices of thousands of ordinary airline passengers for days after they left the terminal. After reviewing the document, one of Canada's foremost authorities on cybersecurity says the clandestine operation by Communications Security Establishment Canada, or CSEC, was almost certainly illegal. I went to the airport to see if I could get a reaction to the article, and it was not hard to find. Excuse me, do you have time to talk about the increased security measures at the airport?
Yeah, sure. I absolutely find it. I'm outraged myself, everyone should be. Us as citizens in a democratic country should all be outraged. What happens on my phone or laptop or in my conversations is my business. The government has no right to spy on its citizens without reasonableness. I cannot believe something like this would be happening here. I'm afraid to search for anything on my phone, regardless of what it is. Just knowing every word is watched for is absolutely ridiculous. This is and should be illegal. Otherwise, my Charter of Rights and Freedoms, what is that? It's pretty useless. I would personally rather have my privacy than safety. The safety is becoming too controlling by the government and overtaking my freedom,
That person wished to remain anonymous, and we certainly respect that on this program. Next, we have two experts ready to debate this article. Gentlemen, first off, what's the government's position on this matter? Let's hear from our government official first.
The number one priority of a government is the protection and welfare of its citizens. There are certain measurements that we have to take at times to ensure that our citizens are safe, and what CSEC did is just another example of that.
I agree with you that Canadian citizens should be protected. But on the other hand, I don't think we should be spied on, especially in this situation where we are being tracked and monitored where we go.
You have to understand that times have changed. Surveillance is always about tracking and finding suspects. So times have changed. Before, that was things like going through somebody's garbage or going through the mail that they've sent out. Now with the society we live in today, everything is done electronically. So going through emails or wiretapping is just common practice for surveilling certain suspects. At the end of the day, it's about national security. We're not interested in your daily affairs and lives. It's just about national security.
Many people who are against surveillance have been saying that our privacy is ingrained into the Constitution. Is it?
Yes, it is. It's protected under Section 8 of the Charter, where everyone has the right to a reasonable search and seizure.
Why is it protected?
It's protected under the law because spying on mass audience does not bring harm. It is a violation of one of the oldest principles in a free society.
Another principle of free society is social contract. And that social contract dictates that you should, as a citizen, sacrifice things to the state so that they can assure you that society runs smoothly. So things like the liberty of your so-called privacy at times need to be sacrificed so that as a government we can do our job and protect our citizens.
The problem with being spied on, though, is we don't know where this information is going to. That worries me a bit.
Do you believe that Canadians know enough about this issue? Is there reason to be concerned?
All Canadians should be worried about their privacy, and I'm happy that this issue has come to surface.
I'm also happy that Canadian citizens are now aware of what CSEC was doing at the airports. It can serve as a deterrence now from any future suspects or threats to national defense. We're in the business of protecting our citizens, and the best thing is prevention and not crisis control. So any measurements that we can do that could prevent an attack, we are willing to do, and we won't hesitate.
We will now go to the Privacy Commissioner Watchdog to get legal insight as to where Canada is now.
Supposedly has its own metadata surveillance program, which was initiated in 2011 after given approval by Defense Minister Peter. According to McKay, these types of surveillance programs are only applied to what's considered to be foreign communications. Metadata use seems to be monitored by CSEC itself through internal reviews, which seem to be barred from public access. Internal reviews seem to be handled by the Office of the Communications Security Establishment Commissioner, who is responsible for oversight. As stated on the highlights of the 2006-2007 report, the Commissioner has a duty under the Security of Information Act to receive any information from employees regarding any concerns made under the grounds of public interest. Since the Commissioner is bound under secrecy, anybody can make any concerns publicly available. As to how many cases have been reported to the Commissioner, nobody knows for certain, as these records are kept secret. Despite the secret operations of the Canadian security agencies, they are still bound by law. Security agencies are bound by legislation such as the Canadian Security Intelligence Service Act, the National Defence Act, Anti-Terrorism Act, and of course the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Any cases made under these acts are severely redacted and completely made secure. Depending on the type of surveillance requested and the context of the situation, warrants must be issued in compliance with the aforementioned legislation.
Thank you for watching. See you next hour.